Welcome back to another episode of Big Shticks, guys. Today, I'll be cooking, and admittedly, this is gonna be a short one. So today, while I was walking through the supermarket, I noticed that London broils were on sale for $1.97 a pound. I picked one up, 2.5 pounds, for about $5. That was a real difficult thing for me to pass up. Now, here's some things I know about London broil. London broil has little to no fat, and it has very long fibrous strands that need a lot of time to cook in order to break down. Otherwise, you have to pretty much cook it rare and then slice it, and then hopefully you end up with a product that is still juicy and not dry and is also relatively tender, which can be difficult to do. So I've cooked this at 130 degrees for about 6 hours, and I'm hoping that the prolonged time of cooking will help break down those long fibrous protein strands to make it a more tender cut. But also cooking it in a water medium like this will help lend itself to not drying the meat out. So we'll take it out, we'll dump off some of the juices, we'll give it a sear and a slice, and we'll see what we came up with. Okay, so let's get this out of the bag. All right, admittedly, this don't look so hot. And here, let me tell you what I did to it. All I did was simply season this generously with salt and pepper. And honestly, I'm probably gonna season it again. One thing I do know about London broil is that it is a relatively bland piece of meat. So we're just drying this off to get all the moisture off of it before we put it in a pan. Otherwise, you're gonna have a real difficult time searing it off. So just gonna add a little bit more salt here. Generally speaking, with London broil, if you think you put enough salt, put some more. I don't think it's possible to over-salt a London broil, to be honest with you. Just gonna press that in, and we'll head right over to the pan that I already got preheated. All right, that pan looks hot. It's starting to smoke. Let's get a little oil down in here. Let's get it all over the pan. Set it down. Just add the garlic cloves from the bag that was cooking with it. So those are probably going to turn black real quick, but I just need it to flavor the oil. So we'll leave this down on each side for about 2 minutes a side. Almost there. Get that garlic over. So right now I'm ripping this on medium-high heat. All right, give this a flip. Looks pretty good. You have to remember that London broil is not a completely flat steak because it's cut from a top round and it's cut in half. So you have a round piece of meat, and then they cut it in half, and then they just sort of smash it down to make it look flat as a steak. Getting there. Remember, this is already cooked, so all we're doing really is putting a sear on it. Just want to cook some of those unsightly edges. Just make it look a little prettier. Yeah, I think that's gonna do it. Let's take it to the cutting board. We'll let this cool for a few minutes before we cut into it. Okay, we've rested it for about 6-7 minutes now. And so I want to discuss one of the most important parts about how you serve a London broil. I see a lot of people just make cuts straight through. What you have to remember about a London broil is that the grain of the meat, the strands go straight up and down. So if you do that, you lengthen the fiber strands, thus making a tougher piece of meat. So you need to cut it on a bias so that you end up cutting across the strands, making for a meat that pulls right apart. So you can see here how the strands run up and down, and I've cut across every last one of them, cutting on the biased. And I think with London broil, it's important too, the thinner the slice, the more tender it's gonna be. If you cut it too thick, it will be very, very tough. Ooh, that actually came out pretty good. Get a little bit of the sauce here. It's got a good salt to it. Nice peppery flavor. The garlic is in there from cooking inside the bag with it for 6 hours. You can really taste it. Not to mention, we flavored the oil up using the garlic that was inside the bag. Man, that is a phenomenal piece of meat there. And under most circumstances, I do not like London broil. So I'm gonna finish slicing this up, get it plated up so I have a nice little thumbnail for this video. And then I'll see you back here once it's plated. Man, oh man, people, how does that look there? I think that looks delicious. So, I'm going ahead and give it a try. Tears apart nicely. Man, this is the best London broil I've ever made. Honestly, I'm probably never gonna pass this up again. At that price, it's hard to beat. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not ribeye or anything like that, but man, it's a great tasting steak. So let's talk about what I did to it. So I seasoned it up very generously with salt and pepper, stuck it inside of a sous vide bag or vacuum pack bag. You can use a Ziploc bag as well. I added 4 cloves of garlic, and I also added a little bit of oil. I cooked it for 6 hours at 130 degrees. I dried it off and then seared it really fast, 2 minutes aside on each side, adding those garlic cloves to flavor the oil. I rested it for like 5 or 6 minutes, and then I cut it on a bias. Easy peasy. It's something that you could probably set in your sous vide cooker before you leave for work, and when you get home, sear it off in a couple quick minutes, throw together a side, and boom, you got a meal. Well, that's gonna do it for me today, folks. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. From my kitchen to yours. Big Sticks out. Man. Damn, that's good.